Hi everybody, my name is Randy. I'm just going to do a little bit of filler here. We're going to get started at 4:30 on the dot, which I think is just about a minute or so from now. Sean, what is the current time?
The current time is 4:30.
All right. Hey everybody. Some people are probably not going to start exactly on time, so we'll do a tiny bit of filler here. But we're broadcasting live from Solare. We're going to do a really fun and educational Italian wine seminar with our Italian wine ambassador, Petra, who many of you know. If you've been to Solare at all, you've met Petra. She has been certified by the Italian government, being one of the experts in the world on Italian wine. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Sean, do we have some people that are joining now?
Yeah, we have 8 people here.
Okay, great.
Say hello.
Well, hey everybody. Who do we have? List off some names.
Okay, we have Marina.
Nice loud voice.
Marina. We have
Marina.
We have Shawwali. We have A Coach Cool. Singer.
All right, singer.
3144. Carlo
Perfect.
Belliti. Hello.
Hey, Carlo from Florence, Firenze. How are you?
We have
your daughter is about to rock it.
Paula Taylor.
Paula Taylor. Thank you for joining. Okay, let's get started officially. So, my name is Randy. I'm the lucky owner of Solare Ristorante here in San Diego. I know we have people literally from all over the world. Let me just say a few words of introduction. First of all, thanks a lot for joining us. We're going to be doing several more of these. I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction, but our guest of honor tonight is Petra. She's going to be talking all about Italian wines, giving you a nice seminar. When you're done with this, you're going to learn about great regions of Italy, how to taste Italian wine, how to pair Italian wine. You're going to have a lot of fun with that. Our director and video producer is Sean. Just so you know, I want to make this very, very clear. We are practicing social distancing and being very safe here at Solare. In the restaurant right now, we only have about 4 people. Even as we work together, we are staying 3 or 4 feet apart at all times, or more if we can, always wearing gloves. In the kitchen, we have hats on. We are taking this very, very seriously. Let me tell you what I've told other people here at the restaurant. I like what our government's doing. I like what we're doing worldwide. Some people say we're overreacting. I don't believe so. Here's what I say. If you're the general of an army of coronavirus, your whole thing would be like, yeah, let's go out there. Americans are going to be slow. The world's going to be slow. We can take over the whole planet and infect everybody. The reality is America moved fast. San Diego moved fast. We are creating isolation. We're going to stop this thing really, really quick. So if you're the general in charge of the coronavirus, you're sitting there going, I can't believe the whole world and the United States and San Diego moved so quickly. And the best thing we can do is social distancing, doing things like takeout, not hanging out together. So even right now, Sean's about 6 feet away from me. He'll be about 6 feet away from Petra. I want you to know that we're taking things very seriously here so we can get back to normal. Now, moving on to the wines. Here at Solare, we have a great wine strategy. 75% of all of our wines are from Italy. That's what Petra's going to talk about. The other 25% are only North Coast or West Coast North America, Washington State, Oregon, California, and Baja. No French wines, no Spanish wines, no South African wines, no Australian wines. We love those wines, it's just not part of our strategy here. Finally, I want to make sure you know that we do have the opportunity to sell you our great wines to go. Basically, Solare is the world's most amazing wine store. We have some of the best Italian wines, Washington wines, Oregon wines, California wines, Baja wines you can imagine. Call us up. Tell us what you'd like to do. Give us your basic price point. Everything we're going to do is at discount prices. We will take care of you. All you have to do is pick up the phone, give us a call. We'll have a great discussion with you. You can pick up whatever wines you want. Our phone number, 619 270-9670. I've talked too long. Let's go talk with Petra Belliti. She is a certified Italian wine ambassador. There's only about 240 in the world. She took a very, very difficult training program, certification test that only about 10% of the people pass. So with no further ado, Sean, flip around. Let's go hang out with Petra and learn about Italian wine.
There you are. I thought you never coming here. Ciao everybody. Thank you for whoever joined so far. Ciao Babbo. That's how I call my father. That's the Toscan name for daddy. I know he put an alarm on to be able to see me, so I much appreciate you being there. Hi.
Hey Petra, say hi to Heather, who lives north of Toronto, Canada,
Wow.
who has chimed in.
Ciao Heather. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're going to enjoy what we're doing today. And thank you again, all of you, for being part of this. Thank you, Randy, for the amazing introduction. As Randy said, I'm a certified Italian wine ambassador. It happened not too long ago, about exactly a year. And so my goal with this certification is to be able to educate everybody about the beautiful biodiversity and all the beautiful grapes and wines that we make in Italy. But today we're really gonna keep it simple and start from some basic information that I hope can help you all in the way how you're gonna select your next bottle of wine. So
Quick interruption. We do this all the time.
Of course.
We just had somebody give the comment that we love what Petra's doing. She's turning lemons into limoncello. I love that expression.
I like that too.
We also have Alistair and Megan from Montreal. We have
Ciao,
Canadians
Alistair,
coming
Megan.
in. We love our Canadian neighbors. And also we have Barley Man Dave from Escondido. So
Ciao, Dave.
keep going. I'll keep interrupting, but not too much.
No worries. Please do so. So anyway, so we're here today to talk about Italian wines, but also about Italy. And that's probably where I'm gonna start all of this. Well, first of all, two more things about myself. I'm Italian, as you most of all you know. I think I know most of the people that joined so far, but I'm sure there are gonna be others that maybe never been to Solare, maybe don't know me. So of course I work very closely with Randy. I'm one of the managers here. I run events for the restaurant, and I cooperate with Randy and Tommy, his younger son, to the wine program. So we spend a lot of time tasting amazing wines and decide what to add to our wine list. And as Randy said, we mostly focus on Italian, but we have a good 25%, 25 to 35% of our list is domestic. So we have a focus on Italy and domestic wines. Which I think it's great, and I love the fact that I'm gonna open and close these parentheses. Randy is so it really loves like also to think a little bit out of the box. So Solare has one of those lists where you're gonna find wines that you're definitely not gonna find in large grocery shops, but you can definitely, if you're curious about some native weird variety, and if you have questions about this, feel free to email me. I'm going to show you my email soon on a piece of paper for questions, and maybe I'll be able to recommend you the next wine that you should be trying.
Chef Hancho says, go Petra.
Ciao! So long since I heard you. Very nice that you're there too. Thank you for joining. Okay, so as I said, I'm Italian and I talk too much, so Randy might interrupt me at times and tell me to stop, mostly when I drink a little, which I've already started doing because I'm a little bit nervous about all this. I talk even more. So also you guys, if you want to stop me, like enough, next subject, please do so. And Sean will tell me and I'll make sure to turn the page and talk about something else.
And Paula from the Solare team says, hello Solare family. And so does Joseph on the Solare team.
Ciao,
He's
Paula.
tuned in.
Ciao,
hey guys,
Joseph.
we miss you.
I miss you so much, all of you guys. Thank you for being part of this today. Okay, so I will be looking at some notes, and please forgive me for that, mostly when I'm talking about numbers or stuff like that, which I wasn't be able to stuck into my head quite yet. So the first thing that I want to talk about is some generic information about Italy. Italy is a fairly young country. Think about that. Until 1861, we were like a multitude of what we called in Italian principati or repubbliche, that were completely separated from each other with separate governments and kind of go ahead, mind their business, fight with each other once in a while, or actually all the times, I'd say. But that was the situation until 1861. That is when our country got unified and became one big country altogether. That being said, it's important to say that once that happened, the man that was behind this unification, Camillo Benso di Cavour, our first prime minister, at that point said, okay, we made Italy, now we have to make the Italians. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because think about all these separate areas finally getting together, becoming all one, but with different dialects, different traditions, different cuisine, different wines, different grapes. So that, I think, it's, in a nutshell, it describes what Italy is. It's a huge melting pot of a lot of traditions, of a lot of dialects, of a lot of varietals that all come together. And the beauty of it is that you can find everything you can find something for everybody. Like, there's absolutely nothing that is missing in our country. Italy also is a very specifically geographically place, meaning there's no other place in the world that is geographically located in the way that Italy is. As you know, it's a peninsula in the southern part of Europe, right? And you may be surprised to know that it's pretty much the exact same size of California. So that will help you to understand. Let me give you some details about that. The length of Italy, it's about 736 miles, and the width of Italy is about 237 miles. California, it's 775 miles long and 250 miles width. So we're there. We're talking about a country that is pretty much the same size. Now, here's the big difference. Italy has 60 million total inhabitants, while California has 39.5. So the density is very different. We are a lot of people. We like to be very close to each other, and so everything that is going on now is freaking us out. We're just not used to that, right? But we're doing it. And I'm gonna echo what Randy was saying before. This is the way to go. So I'm hoping that all of you are at home, are ready to listen to this, to be with us, but kind of following the distancing that is required.
Just to jump in, we have Natalie joined a minute or two ago saying, hey, Petra, and we're saying, hey, Natalie, hey, Lucky, hope everything's going well up there.
Ciao, guys.
And we also have the human in training, Marina Carlsbad, who's here, as well as
Ciao,
Pamela
Marina.
Bundy. Pamela, we emailed earlier. Thanks for joining.
Ciao, thank you for being here. Okay, so hard, a country that loves to be all together, partying all the times, lots of social entertainment, and love to be close to each other. So I'm just spending 1 second to say you all know, or I think most of you know what's going on in my native country. It breaks my heart. It's a very tough situation. But at the same time, what gives me hope, it's the way how I see our people reacting to this, finding a way to go beyond physical distancing and find a way to be together even in their own isolation in this moment, from singing from the balcony to playing music from different places, but all together. I mean, I've seen lots of videos that really warm my heart, and I'm sure that we also are going to be able to do the same here. Sorry, that made me tear up a little bit. So I send in this moment a lot of love and a lot of support to all the people in Italy that are really, really facing possibly one of the hardest time of the history of our nation. And I'm really hoping that here, as Randy said, we're going to do our best to be out of this situation as soon as possible. Okay, going back to what we were discussing. Let's go back to wines, to Italy, etc., etc. So, Italy, since 1861, a country divided in 20 regions. 20 regions, each one of them contributes in a more or less way to the wine production of my country. So why it is important to talk about Italy and its positioning in the wine world? Well, that's a lot of reason. First of all, Italy since 2018 is actually number one in terms of the overall productions worldwide. Until 2017 it was France, but since 2018 Italy is number one. Number two, Italy represents the biggest exporter of wine in terms of volume, not in value. Guess who has that? I'm curious to see if somebody tries to guess who has the biggest market share in terms of value for exports.
Yeah, if somebody tells us it's a $25 gift certificate.
Alrighty, let's see, I'm gonna wait 1 second.
And while we're waiting, Elevation Master opened a bottle of Chianti in honor of this, so
Very
enjoy.
good.
Send us a note on which Chianti you opened. We're curious.
Exactly. Alrighty, I'm gonna jump on it. Well, it's France, because they have that little gold mine product. Let me see who guessed that. Oh, brava Marina. Marina got it.
Human in Training, $25 gift certificate.
Very good. And why? What is the gold mine that comes out of France that makes them be the first one in value in terms of exports? The little thing called champagne. Okay? That's what makes still today France the leader in terms of value. But if we think about United States, we roughly count for 30% of the total imports of wines, which is the highest number, and we beat everybody in terms of volume and value. So in terms of our exports to our United States, we are number one under every aspect. Now, we make a lot of wine. We're talking about, let me find the data, but it's a lot. All I can tell you is that we can definitely not ever been able to drink it all by ourselves, but it's about 560 something million cases of wines per year. That's a lot of wine, which gets me to the next point. You guys gotta help us drink it, because even though we like to drink our wine with all our meals, except possibly for breakfast, we still need help. That's a lot of wine production. Now, going back to the main things about Italian as and its role into the wine world, we are also number 3 in terms of the overall land planted under vines. So number 3 on that, and which is very, very, very important. Now, the next thing that I would like to discuss with you, unless there's any questions specifically related to Italy, geography, and stuff like that, if there's something, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go to my next topic, which is learning to read Italian labels and appellations.
Elevation Master says...
Yep. Elevation Master is drinking a beautiful bottle of Chianti the Cecchi, which is a delicious producer we'll maybe talk about later.
Okay.
But he goes on to say, but his normal breakfast wine is Lambrusco.
Good choice.
So Elevation Master recommends Lambrusco for breakfast.
Elevation Master, I agree with your choice. Lambrusco as a breakfast wine is actually very, very perfect, mostly now these days. I said we don't drink wine at breakfast, but I'm sure that a lot of Italians might be drinking wine at breakfast too now these days. I am one of those. Moving forward, enough with the geography. Now, I want you... Sometimes labelings are hard to understand, right? It's tough, what does this mean, etc., blah, blah, blah. Now, one thing to know about Italian labeling, which is a little bit different compared to domestic wines, is that every word has a meaning, and every word is regulated by governmental offices, okay? So it's not like you cannot write something on your label because you decide to do so, but it's actually very, very regulated. So our appellation system that was created in 1966 is actually pretty much a copy and paste of the French system, with, of course, different terminology, but it pretty much creates a layer of different qualities, and I'm going to use quotation mark because sometimes that really doesn't tell you how good the wine will be, but it's a guarantee of quality. That's why the appellation systems have been created, to try to give to the final customer some kind of a, how would you say that, Randy? You want to be sure what you're buying, right? Yeah. So that word on a label.
Sort of guarantee of quality and authenticity.
Exactly, perfect. So in Italy, our system goes from table wine, which is the bottom layer of the type of wines, which is not regulated at all, I'd say you can pretty much do whatever you want. You don't even have to put vintage or varietal on the label to let you know, or the area where it's produced. From there, we go to the IGT appellation, and I'm going to show it to you. Now I'm going to move a little bit. So if you look at this wine, which is a beautiful Super Tuscan, so a blend, in this case of Bordeaux varietals, Cabernet and Merlot from Tuscany. If you look on the back, it's gonna say Indicazione Geografica Tipica. That's IGT. And this is after the table wine, Vino da Tavola, is the less regulated category, which was created actually in the early 90s. One of the newest ones. And in this case, all you know is pretty much where the wines come from, but the regulation and rules put by the government are very, very limited. Then, from the IGT, you go to DOC, which is Denominazione di Origine Protetta. Actually, this is a DOP. DOP and DOC, this gets confusing, guys. I'm not going to spend time on this, but it's because the European Union came out with other appellations that can be used on the labeling. But when you see DOP or DOC on a label, it's the same thing, okay? So DOP and DOC are the same thing. One is the Italian appellation, one is the European one.
Quick interruption. Yeah. So we have Bob, who's going to be on our Tuscan wine tour, join. He says, hi, Petra, hi,
Ciao,
Randy. And we also have a guy, Insta Michelle. Well, wait a minute. We just have somebody, Insta Michelle, saying, I love the wines from Montepulciano. You don't have to answer now, Petra. Love the wines from Montepulciano. They confuse me a little bit. Give a recommendation. I'll remind you before we're done.
And we'll talk about that, because we'll talk about that confusion too. I think I know what you mean. Okay, moving forward, we go to DOCG. So as a sample, I took a Chianti, okay? This is actually Castello di Ama, amazing producer. And this is a Chianti Classico DOCG, Denominazione di Origine Controllata e Garantita. And you're gonna recognize this wine easily because they also have this thing around the neck of the bottle. You see it? So when it is a DOCG, you're always gonna find also this. So those are kind of the normal 4 levels, but I'm gonna add one more just for the wine enthusiast out there. Besides the Vino da Tavola, IGT, DOC, and DOCG, we then have something else, which it's the cru. So here you get into the details of DOCG, but this is a Barolo. We're gonna talk about it on a different time. And you see the word Cerretta. So that's actually refers to a specific vineyards. Something that is fairly new in the Italian tradition compared to France. So those are the most important, no, the only appellations that you find in Italian wines. And then there's other important words on an Italian label. I'm starting from the most important one, which is Riserva. You see this beautiful Barolo from Daniele Conterno, who actually just recently had an amazing wine dinner with us. So Riserva for every Italian wine means that the wine has been aged longer than the non-Riserva version of it, okay? So Riserva means aged longer. You're gonna find then labels that have the word Superiore. This one is a Superiore. When you read Superiore on a label, you know that that's gonna be more regulated compared to a non-superiore of the same type of wine, and normally requires a higher alcohol content. Just so you know, I'm gonna keep it simple without getting into many details, but that's pretty much the most important characteristic of superiore. And other word that you're gonna find on labels is the word classico. Now, Chianti Classico, it's in everybody's, I think it's in everybody's mind, but you were gonna find Soave Classico. You may find Amarone Classico della Valpolicella. Every time you see the word Classico, that refers to the most historical and traditional area of production of that specific wine, which means that the grapes need to be sourced from that smaller area and more traditional area of production.
Quick interruption.
Yes.
Our friends at Maestoso are saying hi, great job, keep rocking it. Petra.
Ciao Marco, ciao Dalila, nice to have you. I keep looking at Randy because he's down there too, but that's where you are. So ciao, sorry.
Quick question. So
Yeah.
Insta Michelle came back. I love Barolo. We just ordered takeout for dinner tonight from Solare. What wine would you recommend to pair with your lasagna? So we can get back to them, or you can say it right now, whatever you'd like.
Perfect. Definitely with lasagna you have a lot of options. You can go Barolo if you want, if you're in a mood for a nice, well-structured, complex wine. But you can also go easier. A Chianti, a Sangiovese based wine. Lots of options that we have here. I don't think we can limit the...
Actually, that Castello d'Ama
would be great. I mean, the Castello d'Ama would be a great choice. But again, when you come here, I mean, whoever, I might not be here at that point, but whoever is here can definitely help you with a great recommendation for your dinner tonight. Going back to us, let me see if I skipped something. Couple more information about Italy. So because of how we are geographically, I'm going to mention something that I listened not too long ago from Farinetti. Most of you might know him, or maybe not, but Farinetti is the guy behind Italy. This chain of beautiful stores all focused on Italian products, food, wines, etc. He did a speech not too long ago that it's on YouTube, and I encourage you to watch it, talking about why we need to love our country more, why we need to understand how rich we are, why we forget it so often. Because of how the peninsula is located, with surrounded from what he calls like good seas, and because of our territory being this perfect mixture of mountains, hills, plains, you name it, we have a little bit of everything. And then because of the shape of the land, we have all these breezes coming from different areas and those winds, but also we have the Alps that stops the very bad weather coming from the northern side of Europe. So we just have what he defines like a perfect geographical location. And that's what gives to Italy the amazing biodiversity that we have. That's why the best basil in the world it's in Liguria. That's why the best capers in the world are on the island of Salina. That's why the best cow cheese comes from just a specific area of Reggio Emilia with the Parmigiano Reggiano, and you name it. I can go on and on and on about how the biodiversity again, and the amazing products that come from different regions of our country. But it's all thanks to this magic geographical location that we got. Italy, it's a very lucky land. And I'm not going to even go into the art, heritage, and everything that we have, but geographically, we're very, very lucky. Yes, Randy?
Just want to jump in and say, hi, Karen. Hi, Mark. They just joined. Great friends of Solare. And also another Solare team member, Tiffany. Thanks, Tiffany.
Ciao, Tiffany. See you soon, maybe. Sorry, water break. Now, because of that, also now link all of that I said to wines. I mean, Italy has a huge biodiversity in terms of varietals. Yes, so we have about 550 varietals registered in our national registry, and more have been discovered as we speak, thanks to new studies on the DNA of vines, of grapes. So who knows where we're gonna get as a final number, but we have quite a bit. Now, being a Toscana, as I am, and very proud of my land, I am going to focus today on Tuscany and on the varietal that is the queen of the varietals for Tuscany, and definitely the leader in terms of the wine that get produced in my region. So that's Sangiovese. I'm going to write that for you, even if I'm sure that all of you have heard about this before, but this is it. Sangiovese. Okay? So Sangiovese is the most planted grape all over Italy, just so you know. And it's pretty much present in every region with a couple of exceptions. And it's though the most important production of Sangiovese happens in the center part of Italy, with Tuscany being the leader, but then you're gonna have Marche, Abruzzo, Molise, Umbria, and also other more southern region. Emilia-Romagna, also very important for the production of Sangiovese. But today we're mostly gonna talk about the Sangiovese coming from my region. So Sangiovese, noble grape, very long history, still debating about the origins of the grape. We're not gonna get into that, but definitely the most important varietal in Toscana. And what are the most important wines produced with this grape? And we're gonna talk about a little bit of all of them. Chianti, so let's open and close these parentheses. Chianti, it's not a grape. Chianti is a type of wine, a style. The grape, the main grape, is Sangiovese, because Chianti can actually be a blend. By law, it requires to have 75 to 80% minimum Sangiovese, depending on the areas. But Chianti is actually a region. It's like saying Napa Valley in California. And then when you see Chianti Classico or Chianti Rufina, that means that it's a subzone of the Chianti region. So it's like saying Napa Valley Rutherford. Is that clear? Any questions on this? Okay. So Chianti,
just to jump in, 4 people have said Sangiovese is their fave.
Very good, and you have good taste then, because Sangiovese is a wine that can make very, very average wine. Just so you know, there's a lot of Sangiovese out there, but it can also make among the greatest wine in the world.
And I have to do this on a personal note. My good friend Jim in Escondido, we worked together at NCR and eons ago. Hey Jim, thanks for joining.
Ciao Jim. So some of the greatest wine in the world are actually Sangiovese based. So it all depends on how you treat this grape, because it's a grape that can be vigorous. Sorry, did I say it right? So forget for my broken English here and there. But if you plant Sangiovese in the type of soil that it likes, if you take good care of it, if you keep the yields a little bit lower, then you can actually produce amazing wine. So number 1 and most known wine, Sangiovese based, Chianti. Number 2, we're getting to our friend who was asking about the Montepulciano, would be the Vino Nobile di Montepulciano. Okay. In that area, actually, because again, we're Italian and we like to complicate things, we don't even call it Sangiovese, we call it Prugnolo Gentile. I'm gonna write that for you. Because what's the point of having just one name for one grape, right? That would be way too easy.
Well, she's writing, hey David at San Diego Magazine, thanks for joining. He's helped teach us everything about social media here. Thank you, David.
Prugnolo Gentile. Okay, this is how they call Sangiovese in Montepulciano, which is a beautiful hamlet still in the heart of Tuscany, a little bit southern east. And there we make Vino Nobile, which is also a blended wine that has to be made at least 70% of Sangiovese and then blended with other native varietals of the area. Last but not least, one of the king of wines, the most important wines that we make in Italy, which is the Brunello di Montalcino, okay? So Brunello di Montalcino, among all the Sangiovese-based wines made in Tuscany, is the only one that requires to be made monovarietal, which means 100% Sangiovese, okay? Not only, it also requires long aging. In fact, this bottle cannot leave the winery until at least 4 years from the harvest, 2 of which needs to be in oak. So think about it. I'm doing the harvest, starting my fermentation process, and everything else that comes after. And this wine, 2014, was not released until 4 years after the vintage. That is a huge investment for wineries. In fact, the way how they support the aging of this beautiful bottle of wine is by producing also what's called the downfall appellation of Brunello, which is Rosso di Montalcino. Still require 100% Sangiovese, but doesn't require the same aging process. So that is if you can understand that the cash flow, we release Rosso di Montalcino to create cash flow to support the production of Brunello. Same thing happens, just so you know, for the Vino Nobile di Montepulciano, that also has the downfall appellation as Rosso di Montepulciano. Now, a few more things about Sangiovese as a grape. I poured myself a little bit of this gorgeous Brunello, which is a 2014, and I'll tell you a couple of words about the vintage in specific as well. So, few characteristics about Sangiovese to learn about it and to know how to recognize it. First of all, the color. Now, I don't know if you're able to see it nicely, but Sangiovese, it's never gonna be a dark, inky colored wine. That's just because it can't. It doesn't have the chemical compounds in its skin to provide enough pigmentation. So the color of the Sangiovese, it's always gonna be about this. This is a beautiful example of a typical color of Sangiovese. If you see it to be darker, well, of course, it can vary, depend on the area of production, but in many cases, there might be something else. So if you see a Chianti, if you're drinking a Chianti that is 100% Sangiovese, it will most likely look very different from a Chianti that has 90% Sangiovese and possibly a 10% Cabernet Sauvignon. Because Cabernet and Merlot are instead varietals that are very, very rich in color. So when you blend them, they add color. Yes, sir?
Yep, just to jump in, two things. One, we have people asking, hey, we might be in Italy. Somebody just said, hopefully going to be at Montepulciano later this year for a wedding. Just want to make sure everybody knows that if you are going, we can definitely help you with winery visits. Let us know in advance. And then also want to let you know, Petra and everybody, at 5:15, we're going to be opening it up for more questions, meaning we'll stop talking, take questions. So in about 10 minutes, if you have a question for us, send it in, and we'll do our best to answer it. So Petra, 10 more
Perfetto,
minutes.
yeah, 10 more minutes, it's all I need. So again, you're gonna see in Sangiovese a light to medium color, but never black, usually rubbing, tending to garnet. As per the olfactory notes that you're gonna find in Sangiovese, Sangiovese it's a very, very terroir-driven varietal, like other varietals that we're gonna talk about in the future. Which means that the expression of the grape is going to be different accordingly to where it's planted. Sangiovese doesn't like a lot of water, like very drought soil. Sangiovese doesn't like too much heat, too much cold. But for some reason, Sangiovese found its perfect home here. So the reason why we choose to open a bottle of Brunello today to talk about Sangiovese is because that this is the maximum in terms of quality expression of what Sangiovese can give you. I don't want to take anything away from amazing Chiantis, etc. But in terms of terroir, so the combination of soil, microclimates, winds, proximity or not to the sea, volcanic soil, etc., you name it. But for some reason, the area around the town of Montalcino has been found out to be the best area for growing Sangiovese. Sangiovese just found this perfect home over there, la casa perfetta. So the wines coming from there are the maximum example of quality. So we went with this one in particular that we carry, in case you're curious. It's Castiglion del Bosco, 2014. For those who don't know, Castiglion del Bosco is one of the estates owned by the Ferragamo family. So, yep, the same family who makes amazing shoes and super high-end fashion. It's funny, I always make this comparison. It looks like, well, here in California, all the movie directors and producers at a certain point decide to make a change and buy a vineyard and start making wines. In Italy, the same applies to fashion people. So whoever has been designing clothing and shoes now somehow owns a winery. But I have to say, I personally visited two of their estates. Besides the fact that they are magnificent, the quality of the wines is also outstanding. So even if they're possibly not the new kids on the block, using quotation marks, because they've been there for quite a bit, but not as long as other producers that we carry here, definitely a wine that you're gonna be very happy. It's a 2014, so a few words about the 2014 as a vintage for Brunello. It was a very rainy day. rainy year. So the Brunellos from 2014 are on the lighter side. There's more elegance and aromatics and not a lot of power and structure, which is what you normally expect from a vintage that is a little bit wetter compared to other ones. That being said, this glass of wine has all the characteristic you want to have. So on the nose, which is typical of Sangiovese, you're going to find cherries. In this case, more of red cherries. In some other areas of Montalcino where it's warmer and the wine gets more maturity, you're going to find more black cherry and things like that. Here I find also some strawberry.
And
so passion
Sophie
fruits.
says hi.
Sophie says
you.
hi. Okay. Ciao, amore mio. That would be
love
my
you,
daughter,
Mama.
everybody. Ciao, I love you too, my love. Thank you for being patient and let Mama get out of the house today. I'll be home soon, though.
Also, we have the best new restaurant in San Diego. Corey Pasta jumped in. I don't know if you know Chef Curcio Lotto. Arguably
No,
the
never
best,
heard about him. Who
one of
is
the
he?
bestest Italian chefs you're going to have. So when everything opens up again, make sure you go back to Corey Pasta.
Indeed, been there, and I can echo that. Please go see Cory. And ciao, Curcio. Thank you for joining. Say hi to the family, please. So then one other very important aspect of Sangiovese is going to be the flower notes on it. So there's a specific flower that here it's called large violet, but it has a very specific name in Tuscany, which is mammola. So if you've been to Tuscany and you've been lucky enough to smell a mammola, this is what you find in Brunello. And definitely you find it here. So the violet perfume is very typical too. And then you're gonna find spices and herbs such as clove, thyme, licorice, leather, tobacco, and even in this case it kind of depends on the area where it's planted. Other taste characteristics, important taste characteristics of Sangiovese are the high acidity, very typical. It's gonna be one of those wines that is really gonna make your mouth water when you have a sip. It asks for food. Sangiovese and Sangiovese-based wines are wines that are meant to be paired with food. A beautiful pasta with red sauce, when you're talking about the other wines. Pizza, fine. And then you go through the more structured Sangiovese wines, and then you can enjoy a beautiful steak. You can enjoy wild boar. You can enjoy also some kind of aged strong cheeses. So it kind of depends on how structured, light, or more complex the Sangiovese wine you're drinking is. As per the alcohol content, is definitely moderate. Never reach the peaks of like other Italian wines. For example, Amarone. You very rarely gonna find a Sangiovese-based wines that reaches 15-16% alcohol, while it's very typical for other style of wines. One last thing. We talked about Sangiovese and the most important wines based on Sangiovese. I want to take a second, though, to talk about the most important white wine from Tuscany. So this is Vernaccia di San Gimignano. Talking about how complicated we are. Yeah, don't be scared, okay? I know learning Italian wines may be scary just because of how difficult the pronunciation of things are, but the important thing is that you like them and you drink them and you support our wine production. So this is from Montenidoli. The winemaker and owner of Montenidoli is a very good friend of Solare. Her name is Elisabetta Fagioli. She also was here not too long ago, March 4th, correct?
March 4th.
For a great wine dinner. And the reason why I want to mention this, because I think in this time we all need to hear some happy stories. Elisabetta started a foundation in her property, which is called Fondazione Patriarca, in honor of her partner, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. And the goal of this foundation is to get together elders and young people that might be having some issues in their life in this moment, might need support, might need help. She strongly believes that each one of them has something to give to each other. So at this dinner, so I was actually able to raise over $7,000, which are gonna be donated to this foundation. And of course, if you come to Solare, you wanna purchase wines, you never heard about Vernaccia di San Gimignano, which is the white in the land of reds, because Tuscany mostly make red wines, but this is the most important wine. I really encourage you to try it, because by supporting her, you support her foundation. and we will be very happy to know that you're doing that together with us. Now, I'm pretty much done with the theme of today.
You have it perfectly timed, about
Okay.
5:15 San Diego time. We were going to stop for some questions.
Okay.
The first one here is from Akiex, or Akiex, I apologize if I pronounce it wrong, but she's asking both the best question and the hardest question.
Let's see.
So she's new to wine, new to Italian wine. What's the one that she should start trying first?
You probably want to start, okay, if you never had Italian wines, Sangiovese, Nebbiolo might be a little bit harsh for you. If you are a usual consumer of domestic wines, I would probably recommend you to start with wines such as Primitivo. I'm going to write it for you.
And that would be from the region of Puglia.
Correct.
Right?
It would be like the heel of the boot. Primitivo, or you can try with some Super Toscans. Primitivo or Super Toscan. Super Toscan are wines that are, not all of them, but the majority are based on Bordeaux varietals, so possibly varietals that you normally consume as domestic wines, like Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and then in other cases they use Rhone varietals such as Syrah. So those could be possibly more palatable for you. I would say that the biggest difficulty from somebody who's never approached Italian wines and mostly used to domestic wine is to get used to the high level of acidity and the tannin structure of the wines. Because the domestic wines tend to be a little bit less acidic and a little bit rounder in terms of tannins. They don't have that sensation that makes you feel like your lips are gonna stick to your gums. Those are the tannins in the wine. Same thing that you might feel when you drink a very strong tea. Sangiovese and Nebbiolo, we talked just about Sangiovese today, but that would be one that you would feel a lot of that. So maybe not the perfect wine to start with unless you know the producer who makes it and you know that it's a style that you like. But Primitivo and Super Toscans, just two that came to my mind right away, or generally speaking, red wines from the southern part of Italy might be more suited to your palate if you're not used to Italian wines.
Good. We have another question here, which is, we talked a little bit about sparkling wine. You talked about champagne from France. Mm-hmm. They say we've heard a lot about Prosecco. We know the prices are good. What types of Proseccos do you have at Solare, and tell us more about Prosecco?
So Prosecco, also the most exported wine produced in Italy. The production of Prosecco is huge, and you are in the region of Veneto, which is, what is the most famous city in Veneto? Sure you all know.
I know, Venice.
Bravo Randy, Venice. So in Veneto, we make Prosecco, and the best Prosecco come from the area of, talking about difficult words. Try to say this with me.
Everybody remember, Prosecco is a sparkling wine.
Correct.
So it'd be compared to either champagne or if you love cava from Spain. I love cava from Spain. Prosecco, cava, champagne, all delicious. Again,
Correct.
For breakfast, like Lambrusco.
Now, if I have to say if you are a champagne drinker or a cava drinker, when you drink, so those are the two main areas of production of Prosecco. That's where the best Prosecco comes from, okay? Conegliano and Valdobbiadene, still in Veneto. But the area of production is much larger. But just to finish what Randy was saying, sparkling wine, the only difference between Prosecco, Champagne, and Cava is the method that it's produced with, and the varietals, of course. So for Prosecco, we use a varietal that's called, there you go, Glera, okay? So Glera is the main varietal in Prosecco. And the wine is actually made with what's called the Charmant method, or Martinotti, from the person who invented it. And the wine is actually fermented completely in stainless steel tanks. So there's no bottle fermentation, no dosage like it happens in champagne or in the production of cava.
Our next question from Pamela. Could you explain the difference between Brunello and Barolo?
Okay, the main difference is the region where they come from. So Brunello, it's produced just in Tuscany and not all over Tuscany, just in a specific area around the town of Montalcino. in the very heart of Tuscany. Number one. Barolo, we are located in Piemonte, in the northwest of Italy, in a little area, you can compare it to Montalcino if you want, around the city of Barolo, in an area that is called Langhe, okay? So that's number one, different regions of production. So to be clear, you cannot make Barolo in Tuscany, you cannot make Brunello in Piemonte, okay? They're just in those two regions, each one is in their region. Number two is the varietal. So Brunello is 100% Sangiovese. Barolo is 100% Nebbiolo, which I think it's a varietal that we might talk in our next live. Together with Sangiovese, possibly one of the most important other varietal of Italy. But those are the main two differences. As for everything else, they both require very long aging, so similar from that perspective. And of course, they have different organoleptic characteristics. The nose, the palate. I would say that normally Barolo tend to be a little bit even more tannic compared to Brunello. So even harder for somebody who's not used to Italian wines to consume right away. But for example, if you never had a Barolo and you're curious to have Barolo, but you're not sure if you're gonna like it because it might be too complex, you can do Nebbiolo. Take a beautiful bottle like we have it here. Let me show it to you. You can start with this, 100% Nebbiolo from Michele Chiarlo, one of the most important producer. And this is the younger, more palatable and easy drinking version. Before you jump to Barolo, you may want to start with something like this. And you might love it already and be happy about it. Yeah. Great.
We just have another question from BZB Happy. I believe they mentioned earlier that they love Sangiovese. Mm-hmm. The question is, can we get a bottle of wine with our takeout?
Yes, of course you can. If you love Sangiovese, we have a lot of options. It also depends on the price point you want to stay within. But we have Chianti starting at about $20 a bottle. We have, like, when you come in, this is a blend of 50% Sangiovese and 50% Montepulciano from Marche, that it's very easy drinking and very reasonable in price. Or then you can go to something like this. I mean, if you want to really treat yourself, don't know what you're eating tonight, but a Brunello, 100% Sangiovese will be great. Or, it's not on the table, you can also try the Vino Nobile di Montepulciano version of it, okay? So those are all great options, and we have more, okay? If I had more time, I would list all the Sangiovese-based wines we have in our list, but I don't. But if you come here, if you give us a call, even right when this live is over, we can definitely assist you with your selection.
Yeah, I mean, the short story is, I said it at the beginning, I mean, we have, basically, we're a store of about 3,000 bottles of wine representing all 20 regions of Italy with some great selections that Petra, Tommy, and I have been working on. And so come to us. We have it all here. Everything we have is available for takeout. We can just work with you. You let us know what you're having, an approximate budget. We'll work a great price for you. Just call us up.
Agreed. Waiting for more questions, I have one more thing to say. First of all, as I mentioned already by talking about Daniele Conterno and Elisabetta Fagioli, we do all the times amazing wine dinners here at Solare, and we really, really hope to be able to get back into that very, very soon. Second of all, we are really, really engaged with lots of the producers that we carry at Solare. So like the person earlier that is about to travel to Italy, please let us know if you need any help and recommendations with traveling. I mean, we can definitely set you up or contact them for you and help you to organize a beautiful wine tour of the region that you're going to be visiting. Third, if you haven't planned yet your next vacations or the wines you're going to be drinking, I'm going to finish my part, and then if there's more questions, I'll answer. But please, please, please support Italy. Plan your next vacation there. Plan to drink a lot of Italian wines. Do everything you can in your power to help my country, because the situation is quite terrible at the moment. So go Italy, go vacations in Italy. You're all going to have a great time this summer. Yes, sir.
So we have a couple of questions. One I'll answer quickly, the other one I'll pass back to you.
Yeah.
We have Barley Man in Escondido. First of all, it says, I was going to have a beer tonight. Now I'm not. Just, you know, Italy makes great beers, as does San Diego. So we love beer, but wine is better. Go Barley Man. And he says, if I order takeout, can you recommend a bottle of wine with it? Yes, absolutely. When you call up, we can do that with you on the phone. The other question was, let's see here. How do I go backwards? Oh, good question from Elevation Master. What is the best produced or most popular white Italian varietal? Meaning, you're walking into a wine store, you just want to have a great Italian white wine. What would you pick? Obviously, Elisabetta's, the Vernaccia is great. Maybe pick another one that would be easier to find in a store.
Easy to find in the store. You can definitely you will be happy to keep it simple with white wines such as Sauvignon Blanc or Pinot Grigio from the northern region, like Friuli Venezia Giulia and Trentino Alto Adige. Whites that come from there, you're gonna be very happy with. In fact, that area is called the white wine central of Italy. That being said, there's a lot of beautiful white varietal in the southern of Italy. I personally love a lot of the white wines coming out from Campania. So let me write those for you, and hopefully you can write them down.
And everybody, we're going to stay on schedule, so in about 3 or 4 minutes we'll do a wrap-up. If there's any last questions, we'd be happy to do it. Obviously, Petra's been awesome.
Thank you, Randy. So, those are 3 varietals from Campania. Probably Greco may be my favorite, but I love them all. Those are great white varietals from the southern of Italy. Other options for you. I'll put it here. I don't know if you're able to take notes and write it. And now, what I want to do is this, before we run out of time. I want to make sure that all of you have my email, because I would love to hear more questions from you, or if you need recommendation, I'll be happy to help you. So here's my email. It's petra@solarellounge.com. Please help me being busy, so email me any questions, any curiosity. I'll be there. I'm more than happy to answer to that. And I really hope that we're gonna go back very soon to be able to be all together in one room and eat great food and drink great wine. But until then, we're gonna make sure to be closer to each other with doing things like this, okay? And I hope you all enjoyed. Any other question that I should ask?
Well, we just have, I think it's more one of an advertisement. Nina says, don't forget about the Vermentino from...
Oh, brava. Okay, well, sorry, my darling, but I mean...
She has... What about Sardinia? She's like Sardinia.
Sardinia. I know this today was just a basic, my darling love, but there's so many varietals to talk about. But yes, going back to the gentleman that was asking white recommendation, Vermentino, another great varietal from Italy. It's great, and its best expressions comes from the island of Sardinia, second biggest island of Italy after Sicily, and in particular, look for labels that says Vermentino di Gallura. And if you want a recommendation, and maybe Nina, I don't know, you're there. I don't know if you can find her now in the contacts and the questions, but I don't know where you can find it in terms of wine shops. Here we might have a little bit more, but the Lupus in Fabula from Tenute Olbios, it's a beautiful expression of Vermentino di Gallura. So definitely something that I recommend to everybody.
Okay, we're going to stay on schedule. We have Barbara in La Jolla. Hey, Barbara. Let's do a little bit of a wrap-up. First of all, everybody, if you're watching, I know we still have everybody still watching. Let's also do a virtual shout-out to Petra. Great job.
Thank you.
Grazie mille.
It was fun. Thank you for being with me. Dad, Babbo, again in Tuscany, you can go back to sleep now. I appreciate your support from far, far away.
Okay, Sean, if you could come back out here. We're going to get Chef Filippo. Hey, Sean. Okay, everybody, I'm going to pass off to Chef Filippo here in a minute. Just again, want to thank all you guys for joining us. We're going to be doing a really wonderful cooking class, just like we did with Petra with wine. We're doing a cooking class tomorrow at 10:30 on a Saturday, which is when we normally do our cooking classes in the Solare kitchen with Chef Filippo. It's going to be learning all about lasagna. Chef Filippo is going to talk a little bit about that. So Sean, swivel over to Chef Filippo.
Ciao, everybody. So tomorrow, see you at 10:30 for the lasagna class. I will teach you how to do ragu from buying the meat to have the final lasagna build it up. So I'll wait for you. I'm super excited. Ciao.
Okay, thanks everybody. I think we're actually on schedule. We're like the train system. But please come in. We'd love to not come in, just come for takeout and curbside. We have great food. Chef Filippo's here cooking all of it. We're all working together as a...
And we're live.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean. Just so everybody knows, we have Sean Shaw as the director, producer of this Instagram Live from Solare. We're excited about our Solare Live program. If you didn't have a chance to view it yesterday, we had our Italian wine ambassador, Petra Belliti, did 60 minutes of a fabulous seminar on Italian wines. We'll do it again. In the session we did yesterday, it was primarily focused on Sangiovese, the grape from Tuscany, which is where Petra's from. No surprise, that's what she picked. Anyways, we have people from all over the world. I saw people logging in already. Welcome to San Diego. FYI, it's a beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning. After the week we all just had, it's something that we are really happy about. Yes, this is one of the Solare Live programs. Today you're going to be learning all about how we make lasagna. All of our pasta is made from scratch. We have executive chef Filippo Piccini, born and raised in Saturnia in Tuscany, going to show you exactly how we make our lasagna. Now, to be clear, here at Solare, our lasagna is made by both executive chef Filippo, but also by our chef Maria, who's amazing. So Maria, if you're watching, let us know how we're doing in your absence. We miss you. We can't wait until you come back again. Let me just say a few words before we get started. I know that Filippo's doing a little bit of a wrap-up. First of all, I want to make sure that everybody knows that we're practicing good social distancing. We're listening to everything that we're receiving from our officials in San Diego, California, the United States. We're taking this extremely seriously. Even now, Sean has me on Zoom. We work very hard at the restaurant not to have anybody be, even the workers, to be closer than 3 feet together. We're trying to do 6 feet. It's actually not hard. In the restaurant right now, we have a total of 4 people, including me. With Sean, we have 5. So when this video is done for the rest of the day, we're going to have 4 people in the entire restaurant. When we're in the kitchen, we have hats on, we're wearing gloves, we're being very, very careful. There's a lot of people that I talk to that feel that we're overreacting with what's happening, that the regulations are too strict. I feel exactly the opposite. I believe the very strict measures that we're taking in San Diego, in California, in the United States is exactly what we should be doing, so we just stop this virus quickly. A fun thing that I like to say is, imagine if you were the general of the coronavirus army, meaning your job is to take over the world with coronavirus, and you'd be sitting there before the battle starts going, these Americans, they're going to move slow, they don't take anything seriously, they're just sitting around on their couches. Well, that general right now is eating his words. The entire world has moved quickly. We've moved quickly. San Diego, California, everything, and here at Solare we did too. So that general right now is going, oh my gosh, I never would have dreamed in a million years that the American people would move so quickly. But we did. And I just want to make sure you know that we're doing that here at Solare. We are still open for takeout and delivery. We would love it if you take care of us. If you do come, you'll